Thank you.
I wasn't wanting to address, I thought I was just supposed to sign in. There's one over here that says sign, want to address the meeting, and that one just said put your name.
Okay.
I'm just here to listen. I have nothing to say
Right.
tonight.
Well, I'm gonna call this meeting of the school board to order. 6 p.m. for our November 18th regular board session. Could you call the roll, please, Heather?
Emily Hutchison Brown,
Excused.
Kim Hunter,
Present.
Craig Manali,
Here.
Rachel McWhorter, here, Victor Figueroa,
Here.
Rosalind Phillips, and Olivia Beaton, here.
All right, thank you. Could we all stand, please, for the pledge of allegiance, which Ms. Phillips is going to lead us in.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Take a motion to approve the agenda.
I like to make approve this agenda.
Yeah, for the agenda for tonight. Any changes?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda and add E, F, and G and the consent part of this agenda
Under action items?
and the action items. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
I'll second.
there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, call for the question, please.
Craig Manali.
Aye.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Kim Hunter,
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter,
I,
And the motion carries unanimously. Tonight, if you're for public participants and people here, this is a meeting of the board held in public, not a public meeting. Please turn your cell phones off, and that goes for the board too, to be silent. And we'll carry on. Is there any public participation? We didn't see any, so we will continue moving on. The DAC report.
I guess that's me.
There you go.
I'm Sarah Rank. I'm the president of the DAC this year. We had a meeting last week where we reviewed objective 1B and had some additional discussion. Overall, we felt confident in the ratings that were given in the report that we got. And we had some discussion around ensuring that the website is the hub for communication. That's where a lot of people are going and navigating to, and with the continued work that Alice is doing on the website. We were all pretty pleased with where it's at and where it's going. Alice mentioned she's trying to get in a search bar feature, which we were all happy to hear about. So that was great. There's a little bit of concern that some of the newsletters are getting a little long, but they said that open rates are increasing. So that was just an observation and not sort of any cautionary thing or anything to consider, because they're a little long, but sometimes there's lots to communicate. But I know that sometimes my attention doesn't make it all the way to the end. So, but if people are opening them, we thought if there was a way to include links or something towards the end to track engagement on the newsletters, that might be a helpful feature for the staff. They're doing a really great job on communication. And just if there was any effort to increase communication further, and this is my personal thought on it, we didn't discuss it at the meeting, but was considering the increased burden on the staff. With Alice as a 0.2 FTE for communications lead, that's not a lot of her time that can be devoted to putting things together and getting things out. So that was something to consider. And then there was also some discussion around serving parents with a primary language other than English, if there's a way to translate the newsletter for folks, or if that feature, knowing that's available on phones or however people are getting the newsletter. And then we saw about the School Now app becoming the main hub for the communications and different things going out, notifications to parents. And we talked about how, there's gonna be some training parents involved in, using the School Now app. There's some of us who, are app adverse. We don't wanna download another app. With Band and School Now and Our School. So, with Facebook, if we get an Instagram account, there's just a lot happening there. So if School Now is the preferred and the primary function, then making sure that parents are aware that this is more of a necessary app to download to ensure you're getting communications and information from the school, is something that's gonna be needed, and that could take some time. And so since it's in the infancy and it's used, I think that's okay. And that's largely what we talked about, and we've got some additional topics that came up that people want to hear about, regarding class size and labor resources and how students receive information about the educational process. That one came from our new student DAC member, Michaela, so. It was nice to welcome her to our meeting, and she seems like she's gonna be really engaged. So we're glad to have her on.
Right. Any questions from the board? Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
It's a big big job.
Yeah,
I remember when we first actually decided to come compliant with the DAC, and I was on that board for a couple of years, and it's not an easy place to be.
so
Thanks.
things are going good so far.
All right, well, then we'll keep moving on with this agenda. Mr. Figueroa.
Okay, I don't have a whole bunch of new information. I'm gonna talk more about CASB, and I just have a little update on the LSE. So CASB, Colorado Association of School Boards, we are going to be attending our 84th CASB annual conference, and that's on Thursday through Saturday from the 5th to the 7th of December. In that conference, they're gonna have a session for the new board members around Policy 101. It's always a good thing because policy really guides us and runs us at a board level. So if folks haven't had an opportunity, I encourage you. And then returning board members 201 is a policy session for folks that have been here and have some experience with board policies. The second thing that the CASB would like you to be aware of is artificial intelligence, AI, is growing more and more. I know that we, as a board, are looking at policies, and what it's basically saying is that we need to think in terms of K-12 education around AI, and talking to our members about the challenges of developing policies that balance the potential of AI while keeping safeguards for students' privacy, security, and equity. And so those things are being discussed across the state, really, at every board meeting, and CASB is giving guidance to boards around this particular topic. So stay tuned. There'll be some legislation, I'm sure, in January through June that will may affect us as a school district.
Has CASB come out with any specific guidelines yet?
Well, it has some guidelines. Yeah, there are some guidelines that have been put out, but no legislation, no have-tos yet. Just upcoming events. I talked about the 84th CASB annual convention. Here's a few more. CASB Student Day at the Capitol. That will be, where an opportunity for students to, attend legislative, sessions for all legislators and be able to communicate and talk with them and watch the process. I don't see a date for that, so I'm gonna have to get back on the date exactly when that is. And then we also have CASB days at the Capitol for board members. And again, another opportunity to talk to our legislators, and tell them what our needs are, what our agenda is, and what they can do to support the work we're trying to do here at Memphis and in rural districts like ours. And then we have the Winter Legislative Conference that's in January. And that's really a conference that I went to last year. You know, CASB does all kinds of really great professional development at these conferences. It's an opportunity for you to get more information about the legislative process. And again, to connect with your legislators. And then just want you to be aware of a few things. At the CASB convention in December, we are going to have a business meeting agenda that I'll be attending for representation of this board. And it's an opportunity for us to approve election procedures, approve rules and procedures that govern CASB. It's an opportunity to have our annual business meeting as it relates to what districts are paying to be members at the CASB and to give input around that. I know that's been a big topic of discussion, and if you guys have any feedback around that, please let me know. I know we're going to be discussing an increase possibly. And that's it.
Do you know off the top of your head what the current enrollment in CASB is? We have 178 school districts. And how many are involved in CASB? I mean, it was pretty high in the past. I don't know where that's at these days.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me get back up with the board on that, because that would be a great data point.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Victor regarding that? Now, everybody got a chance to review the email that Emily sent out, giving the kind of options for the different breakout sessions and the scheduling. And you can make comments directly on that email and get it back out to people if you want to see changes or have questions or comments about that kind of thing.
Thanks, Tim. I wanted to just remind you guys, I also sent you, I sent you an electronic version of the agenda as well. So you could use either one, whatever you're comfortable with, just as long as you know where you're going when you go and what classes you're taking, because at the end, we usually have a discussion about the classes we took, just from a board perspective and what we learned from them.
That means I don't have to download their app,
I
right?
say there is a new app this year.
I know there's
It's a new one,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, but it's, again, pretty efficient. I like it. I use it. It helps me stay on task as it relates to what classes I have to take.
That's right, I used it last year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be flexible.
New app, new app.
Not a Luddite, but. Okay, no other questions for Victor? Great,
Rosie's.
you're up.
All right, in our BOCES meeting last week. Just a couple things that came out of it. We're still working on the strat plan. They did send out a survey to the BOCES board and the superintendents, and then now they're starting to cast that a little bit wider. They're hoping to have most of the survey results back by Thanksgiving, so they could start putting things together. Also, they're looking at putting together a very large group grant from the United Way. So, she'll be talking to you guys at the superintendent's group about that. As far as Brandy for the ESS side of it, all the IEP paperwork needs to be in by Thanksgiving, so we have just this week to try to finish up anything that we have. They had a parent survey that actually had some really good results in it. They had 59 surveys returned out of 100, so that was by far their most
Good.
response rate for them. And it had a whole bunch of interesting data for it, so I was gonna pass that around if anybody wanted to look at it. Kind of some of the different things with that.
Parent survey.
It was a parent survey for parents within, parent survey. As far as our finance committee, we're still waiting on the audit. They're hoping to have it for the December meeting, hoping. They haven't even started. So Scotty is hoping to get started by December. So hopefully we have it. A lot of it was by the time he got into it, most of the companies were already doing all of ours. So BOCES was like last on the list. He did say that he had a really good district finance manager meeting. He's hoping to have those biannually. I know Chrissy attended that one. And so that was really good. And right now they're sitting on an ending fund balance of just over $1 million. So that's pretty positive for the BOCES budget, that they have a fairly good ending fund balance. For some of their programs, the preschool stuff is just super busy. They're getting so many IEP, they're having to do the work to try to find the IEPs, for the preschoolers, because as they come in, they don't have any type of any,
So I think you might be thinking like child find,
and then, going through just the process
the
of.
evaluation.
The evaluation process right now.
Sounds like testing.
For all the preschoolers, because by the time we get most of them in school, there's at least some evaluation. These kids are coming in with nothing, so the preschool program for BOCES has been very busy across all the districts, including ours as well. And policy, we're able to finally get through almost all of our policy, and almost all of it was CASB core policy, but that was good. So we're getting there. They've done some work on the staff pay raise, and we'll know more about that next month. So, see what happens.
So can I ask a question? So I saw on your survey, parent survey, that they're really asking parents what kind of service, how they felt about the service that their children are getting in our schools, the IEP process that they went through. What do they intend to do with the results?
I have no idea.
Okay, just a quick question as it relates to.
That's a good one. Did they talk to you guys at the superintendent meeting about the survey, or what they're?
No, it was supposed to be scheduled for Wednesday and got pushed back a few weeks.
Okay.
Because there was gonna be too many conflicts with schedules.
And then you mentioned the first survey. Can you tell me what that survey was? What's the purpose of that? The first survey,
Oh.
the first one.
So that's, we're building a strategic plan for
Okay.
BOCES.
Alright.
And that was just, the survey went out of basically just what is everyone's ideas for the strategic plan. Just as we're starting from the ground up to build that.
And that went to districts.
That went to superintendents, that went to the BOCES board. I think that's as far as it's gone for right now. I think eventually they're looking to expand that out. But
And then I know we talked about this, a couple of board members, board meetings ago about, seeing if we can get something from the BOCES eventually, before the year's out, on the impact of a district, any district leaving BOCES and what that would cost us. Is that still in the works?
still in the works. Right now, the focus is on doing the audit and then everything after that.
Okay.
So, but because the audit's been pushed back, then that means us doing the budget is all gonna be pushed back. So this is gonna be a very long budget season. But yes, that is still been a question that we brought up, and especially with them looking at the salary tables as well.
Yeah.
right now, the main push is to get that figured out without it impacting, the school districts. Because yes, they want to be competitive, but, it's really hard to ask all the other districts to increase that amount. So we've asked for several different budgets, looking at what that increase would look like, and exactly where the staff sits, where the increases would be. They're mostly looking at master's level, steps and above. Their entry is pretty competitive, but their masters is where they've fallen behind the rest of us. So, but we're hoping to get a budget impact of, if they could just do anything, what would it look like? Or how would they reorganize and not affect the districts, that we wouldn't have to pay anymore. So that's what we're looking at first, but you're right, we need to still keep pressure on them of if somebody leaves, what that looks like.
Yeah.
That could be anybody.
Group grant, from United Way, what are they gonna use that money for? Are they gonna just give us a discount on our?
Not a discount, I think it's actually gonna be part of they just lost, not just lost, but the ESSER grant was just finishing. And were we on that one with them for the United Way? Which one, years, we were on something.
We're on ear, we have ears, but I don't, it's not.
They have their own years.
Okay. So it sounded like it was another MTSS type of grant.
I can speak a little bit to that if you
Okay.
wish. For that United Way grant, as a school district, they're in discussion with really, SCYC to support after-school programming for Mancos School District, as well as Mancos United to support our summer hub going into the future. So, and they're just compiling they're writing the grant now, but it doesn't appear that Mancos School District will participate in that grant. Rather, those two nonprofits will participate in the grant to support the Mancos School District students and families.
Okay.
And so I was just having a conversation today with the executive director of SCYC and also in communication with Royce be speaking with her tomorrow, as well as the executive director of United Way tomorrow also. So those would be two really good things for us.
Roy just thought it would be better if everyone went together on one big grant and then it flowed through both BOCES to spread out instead of each individual tried for it, so.
Right. Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, then on to our administration reports.
Well, the board has access to some good reports from the director of the Mancos Early Learning Center, as well as the principals at the elementary and secondary schools.
It was all pretty positive. I was pleased to see what's been going on and how it was reported too.
Yes, and well, I think Tara is just a fantastic writer also. I always like to read what she writes. On November 4th and November 11th, the admin team also discussed the Department of Education AI Toolkit. It's important for us to consider AI really from two different lenses. One from a lens of compliance and making sure we're teaching the kids not to over rely on AI, and another perspective of teaching kids how to use AI as a useful tool. AI is having a pretty significant impact on professionals in the United States and throughout the world, making them more productive. And I know we have lots of employees, including, teaching staff and administrative staff, me included, that use AI to be more productive. So we don't want to miss the opportunity to teach a useful career tool to our students, but we also want to be careful on over-reliance so that we still teach kids how to write well. The last Friday, I had the opportunity to meet with the new executive director of the Southwest Colorado Education Collaborative, Clara Rayleigh. And she provided some really good information on how the collaborative is providing resources for the school district. From a school district perspective, our CTE director, Janet Vogel, is our direct contact with Southwest Education Collaborative and is doing really good work in bringing resources to our school district. We had 13 students attend a healthcare workplace learning forum at Southwest Health. We have a student who's in their leadership academy for the Southwest Collaborative. We have access to $500,000 worth of equipment, and we have $300,000 of that $500,000. We have $300,000 worth of equipment on our campus. So I'll make sure to. I spoke with Janet today about in the future, probably in February, March, or April, using one of our work studies to check out this equipment for the board. It's really high level equipment, primarily for the shop as well as the healthcare pathway. So it's really exciting, and I can't wait for the board to see that. In addition, the collaborative is also providing resources to our counseling staff at the middle school to provide more career-connected learning opportunities starting in the middle school. And then just on a personal level, last Wednesday, I was in some classrooms, and one of the classrooms that I went to was our shop. And all 9 of the welding days were full with students in working in partnerships. And one student in particular, who's in this room, came up to me and she said, "Mr. Cordry, check out my welds." And so she showed me her just really awesome welds, and it was incredible. So, Rosalinda, is there anything you'd like to say about what you're learning as far as welds?
I'm really learning a lot about like reading, like a reference line, basically. Like if we're on a job site and the instructor like gives us something to work on, like we know how to identify symbols. And I think that Mr. VK teaches what we need to know in the real world very well, because like we all do so good on the test that he gives, and it's just very hands-on.
Well, thank you for letting me put you on the spot like that. I didn't give you any warning or anything. Great. Okay. And then also I was meeting with our IT director, Mr. Husky, and for our regular meeting, and he let me know that we'll be upgrading from 6 gigabytes to 10 gigabytes for our offsite storage. A gigabyte is enough storage to hold 1 million pieces worth of paper data. So we are in a world now of so much is, out there as far as electronics to think that we're going from 6 gigabytes to 10 gigabytes. The cost of our offsite storage now is going to increase by $2,000 for next year to $8,500. And so that's part of the world we are now, fully engaged in. As part of the newsletter, the community newsletter, we sent out information about inclement weather because most of the state had 2-hour delays or school cancellations last week, and we didn't, but I wanted us to be prepared so our parents did receive that in the newsletter, how they would be notified if we had a 2-hour delay or a school cancellation. In addition, I did meet with the transportation director and the safety and security coordinator, as well as our facilities director to make sure we would be ready if we did end up with a pretty significant snowstorm. As far as the facilities director, we are in the middle of a project at the middle school, a roof project. And then for this building, we're in the middle of a project to replace all the windows. So we continue to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into our assets, and the school district has about $50 million worth of capital assets. And we pay an insurance premium of north of $100,000 to insure those assets. It's the time of the year now for the superintendent self-evaluation. I will have the self-evaluation to the Board of Education by December 1st. And then the board will spend December evaluating the evaluation, and then we will have, kind of the reconciliation on that in January. And then as far as the elections go, as you know, we just finished the election season. In the state of Colorado, there were 40 school districts that either had a bond or a mill levy that was voted on by their constituency. Of those 40, 21 of the 40 were passed. So about 50% of the elections were passed. But of the data, what I thought was interesting, there were 5 school districts with about 500 students or less, and their bonds and mill levies did not pass. We went over 5 for the smaller school districts. Of the school districts that were 1,000 students or less, 2 of the 9 passed, with one of those being our neighbor Dolores School District. And of those school districts that have 20,000 students or more, 12 of the 13 passed. So I think the more we get into the urban environment, the more people are willing to support a mill levy override or a bond. I think that's part of the electoral dynamic. Also, for the State Board of Education, that is an election that is run by party affiliation. And so the new State Board of Education will have 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats on the State Board of Education. The State House, Senate, and Governor's Office remain Democratic. So just wanted to provide the Board of Education with some information about the political environment. And Mr. President, that is my report.
And Sherry Wright,
Yes, I should really note that Sherry Wright, just down the road, in Montezuma Cortez School District, is one of the 8 Board of Education members representing on the Board of Education, representing this area.
all right, so we're gonna have some discussion on our policy.
Oh,
Oh,
if I could, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, the business manager's report.
okay.
I don't have a lot to report. So the only thing, I'm obviously working on truing up that budget, getting it ready for you guys to approve that final in January. So that's really what I'm working on, trying to shave some expenses out of that budget since our student count was down. So I'm working on that. The other thing I just want to bring to your attention is the certification of mill levies that we are going to need to do. We have to have that certification to the county by the 15th of December. So the week you guys get back from CASB, we're probably gonna have to have a special board meeting with just that on the agenda, I would imagine, so it should be pretty quick. I only have the preliminary valuation from the county right now, so I'm waiting on the final. Once I do that, I'll do all the calculations and get it ready, but I don't have that yet to do anything, so I can't even say when would be a good time to do that yet. Hopefully we'll get the final in the mail the first week of December, so I can get that going and we can just find a day that second week in December and have a meeting to take care of that. So that's just something we're gonna have to work through and figure out a time to meet for that. But really that's the only thing I just want to bring to your attention. And in December, I should have a lot better handle on where we are with our budget, so I can give you an update of where we're at with that. In December, and then of course in January, we can probably do a work session to give you all the changes or, from our June budget to that January budget. So you can be in the loop where we're at, all of that. So really, that's it. I don't really have a lot more to report this month.
Okay, any questions? Thanks, Chrissy. Right. Now on to the policies. We've been reviewing these policies. They're on our action items for our review, to approve. Everybody's seen the list. We've gone over these quite a few times. Does anybody have any further discussion than what we've already had? I didn't see anybody making any recommendations or changes to anything over the past couple of weeks. And Emily did not bring anything to my attention prior to this meeting. Did you see anything to change other than what we've already gone over and ready for approval?
No, sir, ready to go.
Okay, well, if there's no discussion on that, we're just gonna continue on. The strategic plan. And, PBO objective report.
So the Board of Education has objective 1B to vote on today to accept objective 1B at standard. The board received a presentation on this objective a week ago today, and then the DAC also reviewed it the following day. This is the objective that says the Memphis School District consistently communicates with all stakeholders in various ways. So this is the one objective of the 11 that really speaks to communication directly.
And I was quite impressed with the report, and the strides that we've made in the last year and a half, 2 years has been exemplary, to say the least. I don't think there's anybody that can say that there's not a way to communicate or a way to find out information about the school that's out there in the real world. And that's a big change from years past. And I'm just really proud of the group that's been putting all that together to make sure that happens. Do you guys have we've reviewed this, is there any further discussion about objective 1B?
Yeah, I just want to say that what I said at our work session last week, and that is that there's been tremendous amount of improvement when it comes to this objective. We get so much more information than we did when I first came onto the board, from a community perspective, a school district perspective. And I appreciate all the work that's been done because it was one of the major objectives that we felt needed tremendous amount of improvement. So, from that perspective, that was my take. The other thing, the DAC reported about, one of the things that they'd like to see going forward is, this report going into some other languages besides English. Now, I know on the website, we're able to change languages. My hope is I just want to encourage the district to take that next step and see how that can happen, so that we can be assured that everyone has access to the information that we're providing to all our families and community members.
Rachel, anybody?
Okay.
Ready?
I was absent at the last work session, but I do wanna, also echo that. The communication that we've been receiving thus far has been really, really good. As a parent, it's always nice to know that, there is such a strong effort put into, sharing the information of, everything that's going on with the school. And it does feel like there is, a central hub for that information to be dispersed. I think it's not a reactive thing, it's very proactive. And I find that really, really useful as a parent. And then I think we're really on track.
All right. Any input? You guys? Okay. So we'll make sure all voices are heard here.
Mr. Hunter, the only thing I'd add to that is, as a school district, our communication lead is Mrs. Alice Miller, and she does that work as an extra duty assignment at a 0.1 FTE.
0.1?
0.1.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, she enjoys it and she's remarkably good at it.
Okay. Good work, just moving right along, I like it. I would take a motion for opportunities for consent.
Are we gonna?
Yeah, I like to make a motion that we approve objective, strategic plan objective 1B, at standard.
I'll second. Wait, do the first.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, is there any discussion on approving objective 1B as that standard? Call the question, please.
Craig Benally,
Aye.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter,
Aye,
Rachel McWhorter.
Aye.
and the motion carries unanimously. We will accept that. Okay, and,
Now I'll move for consent.
yeah, for consent agenda,
I move for consent agenda for items A, B, C, D, E, and F. And then G will need to read.
correct. There's a motion, is there a second for consent for A through F?
I second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Sees none, we'll call the question.
Craig Benally,
Aye.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter,
Aye.
Rachel McWhorter.
Aye.
And those items pass unanimously, and so,
All right, so I'll read the resolution for, item G. Resolution of the Board of Directors of Minka School District, Montezuma County, Colorado. Authorization to sell surplus district property. Whereas pursuant to CRS 22-32-1101E, the Board of Directors of the Minka School District, the board, may sell and convey district property which may not be needed within the foreseeable future for any purpose authorized by law upon such terms and conditions as it may approve. And whereas the board has determined that school buses number 4, 14, 19, and 24, the property, are past their useful lifespan, are no longer needed now or in the foreseeable future. And whereas the board has determined that it is in the best interest of the Minka School District, the district, to sell the buses upon terms and conditions as set by the district superintendent and administration. Now therefore be it resolved that number one, the board approves the sale of the property pursuant to CRS 22-32-1101E. Number two, the board directs the district superintendent and administration to determine the conditions and process for the sale of the property and to effectuate the sale of the property in the interest of the district. Number three, the board directs the district superintendent to report back to the board within 30 days of the close of the sale of the property adopted this 18th day of November 2024.
All right, there's a resolution been read as a motion. Is there a second on it?
I'll second.
Okay, Rachel, is there any discussion of the motion? 3 buses, or you guys are going to determine what? Why don't we wrote down 3? 4 buses, and you guys are going to put together whether it's a bid, whether it's whatever auction, however you guys are going to do it, it'll be made public knowledge.
Right, we'll start the advertising tomorrow. It'll be advertised for a few weeks. It'll be a closed bid process, which has been our process in the past. And Transportation Director, Mr. Small, will manage the process.
Great. All right, no further discussion, call for the question, please.
Craig Benally.
Aye.
Victor Figueroa,
Aye.
Tim Hunter,
Aye,
Rachel McWhorter.
Aye.
and that resolution passes unanimously. Great. So, future agenda items. We have already, the approval of objective 1A, is up next. Make a school district connects students with local professionals, businesses, and organizations, and we'll be dealing with that in a work session, I'm sure, to go over that kind of thing. A future agenda item would be that we're gonna require a special meeting to approve the mill levy. And so we need to get that on the schedule and that put an agenda item out for that as well as a special meeting. Anything else anybody has that they want to put on the future agenda for next meeting or so? And of course, you can always get a hold of Penley if you come up with something or with Mr. Cordry appropriately to get on the agenda. Okay. A little bit of follow-up that we're gonna start doing on a more regular basis as our kind of our self-evaluation thing. The questions that were put up is, did you learn anything new tonight? And I learned a few things about BOCES and what they're looking at doing and grants and those kind of things. Anything of import that anybody learned that you wanted to share about?
I understand that we're gonna sell 4 buses. We picked up 2 new ones and we're gonna sell 4. So that's
Yeah.
good. Clean out the area.
I need a new storage facility, so. And is anybody surprised by anything or unprepared for what came up tonight? I think everybody seemed to be pretty well prepared, pretty well read. And, I'm really happy and pleased that everybody seems to be picking up on the board stuff and coming prepared. I mean, there have been years in the past when, you know, it's just a mishmash of, oh, that's happening, kind of stuff. And I'm really happy that the way everybody's been preparing for these meetings. And I feel like since there was limited discussion, everybody felt pretty good about the communication about what was going on. I think, from my perspective, we communicate fairly well as a board, and I encourage us to continue to do so over the next however many meetings we have together. Any decisions made that need to be communicated to the public? I think everything is out there on the webpage that we did in our consent agenda with the resignations and the hires. And again, going back to our objective 1B in our communication, I think that shows that we're getting that stuff out to the public. And, do we need to thank anyone particularly with a written note?
A written note for the SRO committee would be very appreciative. For
I
their
think that's
time,
probably appropriate.
just a written note for their time and, you know, if they put in for that.
So could we get that on to get it? I mean, how many were on that committee, but if we got a card for each of them and
And we can sign
we
it.
sign, yeah, I was gonna say at our next meeting or our next work session, we sign a card for each of those folks and get that out. To them.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea.
I think that'd be very appropriate. Does anyone have any further discussion about anything, any upcoming items you want to talk about or anything in the past we want to talk about? Ladies, I thank you for your presence and your participation. I look forward to working more and more as you guys get up to speed, and especially at the CASB sessions. Those are going to be really invaluable to you. And I'm anxious to hear what all you're learning when we get to our PDCAT sessions with you, or our meetings with you. If there's nothing else, then I'm going to call this meeting adjourned.